Good morning. Thank you for your concern and your very valuable time. I am James H. McCall, your independent presidential candidate in 2008, and I come to you from Charlie's Coney Island Restaurant in Bedford, Michigan. As your highest representative, I will not candy coat this or any other issue. The current taxing system is a deplorable, costly in itself, unfair, confusing, complicated nightmare for us all. The current system promotes evasion, tardiness, and avoidance, partial settlements and exemptions, exercising of loopholes, cheating, preference, amnesty, and escape in cash transactions and equivalents. As a practical remedy, I profoundly support a national consumption tax, or a national sales tax, if you will, as the sole method of financing the federal government. While the IRS cannot be totally eliminated, its size, scope, and horrendous cost may be reduced by 80 to 85%. And April the 15th will be just another day. TurboTax, H&R Block, I'm sorry. Implementation of my national consumption tax will greatly encourage saving, investing, and paying down personal debt, because all earnings will appear in one's paycheck. It will give the citizens a degree of control over government spending. If government and economy perform, you will spend. If not, you will save. The national consumption tax will only be paid on that portion of one's income which he spends on the consumption of natural and human resources. Is a national consumption tax fair? It is the fairest of all. It meets my test of balance, reality, efficiency, simplicity, and lawfulness. If two families annually earn $100,000 and $400,000 respectively, but if each spends $75,000, each family pays exactly the same tax because it's on the consumption. If one man buys a huge SUV, he will pay more tax than the man who buys a compact car. He'll also pay the tax on higher gasoline consumption. My tax plan will eliminate every current federal tax, including but not limited to federal excise tax, income tax, liquor tax, Social Security tax, gasoline and capital gains taxes, cigarette and utility taxes, Medicare tax, estate tax, airport and travel taxes, and many other hidden taxes. Commodity pricing will revert to pre-federal tax levels or market values prior to assessment of any national consumption tax. The conversion cannot happen overnight. It must be implemented in phases to ensure continuity and to minimize the negative effects on related or overlapping issues. Please understand that the broader the range of taxed products and services, the lower the percentage will be. Also know that the $9 trillion federal debt will not just disappear. Eventually, you will pay this debt. There will be a provision in my national consumption tax to raise or lower the rate annually according to any budget surplus or deficit. It will also have an emergency adjustment feature to provide for disasters and the unforeseen. Remember that with the elimination of all other federal taxes must come the elimination of credits, depreciation, deductions, exemptions, exceptions, rebates, refunds, and various other special treatments. There will no longer be not-for-profit organizations. A national consumption tax will not discourage or inhibit savings, investment, entrepreneurship, wealth accumulation, or the striving for success. My national consumption tax will encourage savings of all types, which we have not had in over 30 years as a nation. These savings will generate a pool of money available to American-owned companies which will headquarter here, produce here, and rely upon labor and natural resources which are here. For it is here where we live and love and pray. My national sales tax will be collected from everybody according to his consumption, including foreigners and criminals. The family with one child should not have to subsidize the family with 7 children. There will be stiff and enforced penalties for non-collection, under-collection, under-remission, and other fraudulent collection or remissions of the national consumption tax revenues. The Internal Revenue Service will mainly oversee the collection, accounting, distribution, and auditing of the revenues. I will encourage the states to consider the implementation of similar taxing systems for the sake of uniformity and conformity, and in an effort to eliminate the unfair, dreaded, and discouraging property tax. Once a property is outrightly owned, it should never be endangered. One concept will help hold down the level of the national consumption tax: the drastic decrease in the size, scope, and cost of government itself. I will start the ball rolling by immediately reducing my salary and the cost of my administration by 10%. I will eliminate some foreign aid programs and drastically cut others. Future foreign aid will be mainly in the forms of medicine, food, and clothing, and will be totally monitored and accountable. When we give money to foreign states, half of it disappears. When we give armament to foreign states, it invariably comes back to haunt us. A bought friend or ally is not a true one. I will reduce the number, size, and lavishness of foreign embassies, and I will reduce the number of militaries in foreign lands. I will produce new trade policies which will be free but fair. How about this novel approach? If your country purchases $3 million worth of our exports, we'll purchase $3 million worth of your exports. Foreign trade, when out of balance, is nothing more than foreign aid. Ladies and gentlemen, I espouse domestic aid, not foreign aid. I will eliminate tax abatements, subsidies, grants, revenue sharing, price controls, pay programs to not grow, and other harmful programs. Let the states keep maximum revenue to develop their own programs. I favor a purely supply and demand type economy supported by free enterprise, which guarantees one's right to succeed without penalty and his right to fail without bailout. The federal government should only receive a level of funding for that which it is constituted to perform. The federal bureaucracy eats at least 40% of all that it collects, then, at its discretion, gives back 60% to the states. I will not require a line item veto. I will veto any legislation which will not stand alone and include its own enforcement procedures up front. Bills submitted to me which are not clear, brief, concise, to a specific point will receive the axe. Legislation laden with pork, waste, unrelated provisions, earmarks, fat, industry or group favoritism, or are not in the national or societal interest will be vetoed. If I'm overridden, you'll know who the culprits are. I'll publish the names. I close by asking these questions. Why should government employees have bigger, better, and broader benefits than the benefits of those who do pay for the government employee benefits? Who is serving who? Thank you.